And Florida Senator Thompson is with us right now, and thank you for coming down and being a part of this very important debate. Where does this stand from your vantage point with Stand Your Ground laws?
Well, in 2005, Florida became the first state to expand its laws on the use of deadly force beyond the castle doctrine, which had been in place for many years. And that has led to skyrocketing cases where we see findings of justifiable homicide. The law has been used by individuals who provoke a confrontation and then use lethal force once things are not going well, and they're allowed to walk freely. And I believe that this started with the Florida legislature and has to end with the Florida legislature. I believe we need to revisit the law. It needs to be amended at the very least to make it very clear that if you are the aggressor and you follow an individual, you confront an individual, you provoke a confrontation, that you are not allowed to kill them and then contend that you were in fear of your life. If you are in fear of your life, I don't believe you put yourself in harm's way.
What about the federal act that you all want to see move forward with George Zimmerman in terms of federal civil rights charges and possibly incarceration if it gets to the federal courthouse?
Well, I did stand with Barbara Arnwine from the Lawyers for Civil Rights, and that group is calling on the federal government, the U.S. Justice Department, to review the case and to see if there was a civil rights violation. Was Trayvon profiled based on his race? And most of the calls that George Zimmerman made regarding suspicious characters in his neighborhood were made after he saw young black men. And was Trayvon then assumed to be a member of a group that in the mind of George Zimmerman was suspicious and up to no good and likely to burglarize a home. And if he was profiled on the basis of his race, then that would give rise then to the civil rights charge and the civil rights violation.
Attorney General Eric Holder in Orlando this past week said that it is still an open case and an open investigation. Is that encouraging for you?
It is, because I think it needs review. Did Trayvon Martin have a right to be where he was? He's walking home in the rain and starts to run away to avoid confrontation. What is the criminal activity there? So I think that he has as much right for self-defense and standing his ground as George Zimmerman did, and that's where I think we need to re-examine this law.
You're okay with the verdict, you just want it changed going forward.
Well, I think based on the law, the verdict that came down is within the parameters of the law. So we have to change the law, because right now, this law is interpreted in ways that the penalty is based on who you are and who you kill. If you kill someone who is white, generally you will be convicted. If you kill someone who is non-white, then many times, you know, the penalty is different.
Are you getting any indication from your fellow senators in Tallahassee regarding the pulse of this now?
Well, first of all, Reverend R.B. Holmes, who was on the Blue Ribbon panel, as you call it, is saying that the recommendation that was published is not reflective of what all members of the task force felt. Reverend Holmes is saying that he recommended changes that were never incorporated in the findings that were put out by the task force. So that's a problem in and of itself. So it appears to me that you got the outcome. He put together a task force to get the outcome that was desired, and not the opinions of everybody was reflected in the findings and the recommendations that came forward.
All right, very good. Let us know how that turns out.
We'll do.
Of it.
Absolutely.
State Senator Geraldine Thompson. Up next on